What got you like just starting off? Like, let's go straight into it. What started
Yeah.
you off like managing music? Like, did you make music before you started managing, or did you just kind of like want to be in a career that was music surrounded? You know?
So this is funny enough, like this is a question I get asked all the time. And it's weird because it's such a long story that I try my best to condense. So I'll do that now. So in high school, I had started off like writing lyrics and recording stuff and like trying to make beats, even though they were really shitty. Uh, but I
Mm.
got really into that, and then I joined this like audio video class that my high school had up at Connolly,
Mm.
and yeah, so I was in that class my entire, high school career, and through that is when I kinda transferred from doing music and wanting to, like, be in the music industry to doing film and focusing on videography and photography. So eventually I got a full ride scholarship to UT for their film department, and so I've just been doing that, but when quarantine hit, um, it's very hard to make films and learn how to make movies online. It's a very hands-on thing that a lot of RTF, film students had problems with, in the beginning because it's not like chemistry, you know, you can't just read a textbook and put it into practice, like, it's something that you have to be hands-on with.
Mm.
So, yeah, so, like, I think most people too, along with myself, had kind of like this existential crisis during the actual lockdown that we had.
Yeah.
Um, and I had actually dropped out of school for a semester to kind of just let it go by because I didn't want to waste my time, you know, doing online school when I could just
Mm.
drop a semester and then go back. So I did that. Got into a lot of psychedelics, and I remember I remember this one day I had tripped acid for the first time, and I was walking around my neighborhood, and I was like just in my head, I was like, "You know, I love film, and I love movies, and I love music videos and stuff like that, but I fucking hate the process of, like,
Yeah.
going through and, like, making them." So I realized then, like, maybe why don't I try going back into music?
Mm.
Because I had a lot of homies that not only from high school, but just people that I knew that were trying to get into music and stuff like that. And I was like, you know, I have a very big talent for directing, which is something that I went to school for primarily, as well as videography. So I was like, you know, I have a very good leadership characteristic, and I feel like I would be great at management. Um, so yeah, I kind of I got into that mindset, and then I started talking with my homies that I mentioned earlier that were doing
Mm.
music, and a lot of them I actually used to do music videos for. So I kind of used that, and I was like, "Hey, if you need help with anything, you know, let me know because I kind of want to try doing like this management thing."
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and then it just became a big snowball and became what I have today, which is my record label. So
And
yeah.
you've been throwing shows lately under your record, right?
Yeah, I have. So how that kind of came up is not only is it part of like the natural process to, of course, like throw and promote your own shows,
Yeah.
but I had a class at UT this last semester with Sasha Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know, Sasha Stone is Tory Lane's old manager.
Yeah.
So he not only was he his old manager, but he he also runs Scoremore and has a lot of stock in Live Nation, which are concert promoting companies.
Mm.
So they threw on like Astroworld, Dreamville, and stuff like that. So I had a lot that I had learned from Sasha and a lot of our guest speakers in that class about like not only promotion, but we talked about all aspects like management, A&R, marketing, things like that. So I was kind of very inspired in Sasha's attitude of the bigger you risk it, the better the reward.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and that just kind of became a whole thing in itself too. So I'm glad
You,
it's worked out.
let me not even trying to play devil's advocate. It's really just been my longest opinion on colleges, and it's always been shifting. But when it comes to like business schools and music schools, I always thought partly they're a waste of time these days because everything's on YouTube, right?
Oh
But
yeah.
everything you're telling me sounds kind of beneficial, you know? So would you say music's like going to music college has been like beneficial to you in the long run, or do you feel like, you're just kind of stuck in it and you're just taking the benefits as you go and you can get it on YouTube or what?
I think it's more so beneficial for your network, um, because a lot of the people that I work with nowadays, I have met through college.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So it kind of and that's not to say that I haven't learned shit, you know?
yeah.
Um, it definitely depends on where you go, and what you're going for.
Mm,
So when it comes to like music, maybe it might be best to go to school like on the East Coast or the West Coast, as compared to South fucking Texas.
yeah.
But I got very lucky because Texas is where there's a lot of stuff in music going on nowadays.
Yeah.
So I had a really interesting time in that class. I had met literally just so many crazy people that you would not envision meeting. Like I had met Maxwell's cream manager. Um,
Mm,
he was one of our first guest speakers, Toby Oniitan, as well as Ezra, who was Tay-K's manager before he went to
mm.
prison.
Oh, I met TK in jail. That's
Really?
crazy. Yeah.
Oh, he's
It was funny.
wildin'.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we just heard like all these crazy stories, and but overall, like I definitely feel like college is useful for the people that you meet, because that's where, not saying like that's where all the minds who want to put work in go,
Yeah.
but you will find a greater amount of people who want to put in work and want to build something. And again, like that's not to say that that's where they all go, but
Yeah.
you have a bigger pool to choose from.
Do you feel like you're attracted more to the behind the scenes scenes of music rather than the performance scene, or what's your
Oh
take on
man,
that?
that's a hard question because
Yeah.
I hate business. Here's my thing, because my family was all my family like was business majors or IT or computer science people.
Yeah.
And I was the outlier. I was very much the creative kid. I went to school for film, you know?
Mm,
Um, so it's very hard for me to say that I don't like the business side, because I do.
mm,
It's unfortunately in my blood, but at the same time, I think some of the best feelings that I've had in music is being at these shows and watching my artists go up and watching them do their thing, and
yeah.
like take the advice that me and my co-manager Solomon had given them and put that into practice, you know? So it's hard for me to say which one I prefer more, but as
Mm.
far as seeing results, definitely the performance side.
Oh yeah. Would you ever see yourself like performing in the future or something, or you feel like you're gonna be like, P Diddy on some shit?
We're probably gonna be more like P. Diddy, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
On some shit.
I
Yeah.
yeah, like, I'm not necessarily shy, because I can't be in
Mm,
this industry. But, I do
yeah.
have a knack for letting other people take the spotlight when it's necessary.
Oh yeah.
Um, if I made music, of course I would want to perform, but that's not
Mm,
where my head is at the moment. But I'll still do things like helping my artists ghostwrite or things like that, putting in my
mm,
input for tracks or beats that they produce. So I do
mm.
have a lot of hand in like the music side itself, but as far as performing goes, that's a hard one.
But I feel like that, that's the fun part too, though. I
Oh
used
yeah,
to be at a
yeah.
studio and advise artists that came through when I was like making music too. And it was like, I was making songs, but kind of like seeing artists like they're struggling with a part and you just kind of give them something, they go in, they just kind of kill it. It's like, oh, that's like a different kind of high, it's like outside of yourself.
Exactly, yeah, funny enough, we had a studio session between Moscato J and Corvus, a couple
Hmm.
Sundays ago, and literally in 4 hours, they had made this awesome song, just from scratch with 94 the Genius, um, over at Launchpad on Burnett, and that was just, like that was such a good feeling, like, it felt like I'm very used to being in the studio with artists,
Mm,
um, but being in the studio with artists that you work with and you manage and you are trying to make successful
it's a
is
different high.
a very different feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. How often would you say you're in the studio these days?
Ooh, so I actually don't go as much as I want to, because some of my
Mm,
2 of my artists, well, 3 out of the 4 like to record at home, because they have their own setup and they know how to mix and master and stuff, which
smart.
saves us a lot of money.
Yeah,
Uh, but
smart.
another artist, Moscato, he loves going with, 94 The Genius over at Launchpad.
Mm.
Um, and so yeah, like I'm not in there as much as I want to be just because I am handling like other business things and doing stuff like this, but
You know, it's
if I
crazy.
could be there, I would. What's up?
I, w- I was thinking when I was making music, when I had my own studio set up, I'd be doing the same thing, just like recording songs at my own studio, like I mean, in my own crib and shit, just recording songs. But
Dude, yeah.
it's like it feels like that's only like step one because like you get all the equipment, it's like oh shit, now I got to learn how to produce.
Exactly.
You
But I
know?
think it's also one of those things where, for example, my artist Corvus, he started recording on his own and producing on his own around 15.
Yeesh.
And from there on, within like 6 years, he is a genius at mixing and mastering. Like he's
Yeah,
really good at it. And sometimes like he's not necessarily stubborn to go into the studio, but it's this mindset of like, I can do this already. Why don't I just do this on my own?
yeah, it
But
makes
it
sense
is a
though.
different feeling when you have like a producer that's there to work with you.
It can go two different like 'cause I've had producers where I made worse music because it was weird because when you don't have a chemistry with the producer, then it's just kind of a dude looking at you while you're rapping and shit, and then you go back there and he's
Yeah,
like kind of deadpan, like, yeah, that's kind of good. You want to mix
exactly.
this? You good with that? And then you got another producer and he's all like, oh, all right, let me do this and that. Go back in there and do this. It's just like okay, yeah, and then you get like a vibe with those producers, but it's like I don't know. It's kind of hard to find producers
Exactly.
like that these days. A lot of producers claim to do that, and then you go in there with them, and they're shy. You can't be a shy producer. It's not the career to be shy. You know.
For
I,
sure, and that's why I really love, working with 94 because
mm,
he's worked with Moscato for a while now, but that Sunday night that I had mentioned, we had that was the first time, like not that I had met him, but that we had actually, like, worked in the studio together,
yeah.
so it was it was a very comfortable environment because we had Moscato there, and, like, he already 94 had already met us a few times, and, like, he had been to a few shows,
Hmm.
um and so, yeah, like, there was already that familiarity and that common sense of, like, "Oh, like, we don't have to take it too serious, like, we're just vibing, and if something good comes out of it, something good. It's something good, you know?" Um, but yeah, it was an interesting time because Moscato spends more time in traditional studio settings as compared to Corvus, but
Hmm.
when Corvus did his verse and his hook, he, like, one take Jake that motherfucker
Yeah.
in the wise words of 94, and Moscato had a little trouble here and there and had to do a few more reruns than Corvus did, but
Mm,
at the end of it, it was very, like it reminded me that it doesn't necessarily matter the amount of experience you have in a certain setting, it's
yeah.
just more so your confidence,
Yeah.
so yeah.
I think that goes into a paradox I thought about the other day. You could never be the smartest person in the world because someone's always gonna know more than you in another subject. Because people always like to neglect other parts of their life when they get like at a peak in another part. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Exactly.
good at producing. I don't want to rap now because I'm a producer. But if you were like a producer and then you're like bomb at that, and then you took time to like trying to get bomb at rapping too, then you'd be like unstoppable. That's how you win like Grammys and shit these days. But people learn like one skill and then they make it their own thing, and then they make YouTube channels and they're known as Jake the producer. You know, and it's just like oh, you
Yeah,
kind of it sounds good. It's good branding, but you're low key limiting yourself in the long run. But people you
exactly, yeah.
know, people aren't ambitious like that though. You can't expect people to be ambitious like that. But like that is a way to get ahead that people aren't really taking advantage of that I'm noticing. But it's good to see people taking different avenues and going outside of their comfort zone. Because I'm the last person to be impressed by somebody telling me that they're just like good at everything they do. That means they're not doing anything that they're not good at and trying to improve it. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, that's cool. You're good at this. You're good at that. What aren't you good at? When was the last time you tried it? Can you do a backflip? Like, Moscato can do a backflip. I've seen him do it a
Yeah.
couple of times. Like,
Yeah, he definitely loves his backflips,
you can see a
but
lot of
no,
people's
like
skills in their actions.
yeah, and it's a weird thing too, like the jack of all trades concept, um,
Yeah.
because you're right, like, people often, like, limit themselves because they're like, "Oh,
Hmm.
I'm good at this one thing, I can just do this one thing." But
Yeah.
there's always a benefit to having multiple skill sets, and I think that at Deaths of the Wolf, that's something that we really pride ourselves on,
Hmm.
um, 'cause something that we like to do is we analyze, like, all the skill sets that our artists have, whether or not they just pertain to music, and we put those to use. So, for example, Corvus is really good at graphic design. So he does a lot of the album covers, he designs a lot of the banners and a lot of the promotional material that we use. Um, and Hunter Reed is really good at being an MC. So we've decided after our first show that we threw at Flamingos that he would probably MC the rest of the events that we have just because he has that energy and like he's just
Yeah.
very good at talking and he's a funny person. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
You
it's
need
definitely
to.
something that we do.
Yeah, get people in their specialized things because I think it's like everyone's the main character of their own life, right? And you're
Yeah.
always in like different parts of your life, so it's always good to have people training in their particular areas that they're trying to get good at. So like once they master that and they move on, you're gonna be like part of the reason they got as good as they are. You're gonna be like that name in their book that can't be erased because you gave them that knowledge or you gave them that opportunity or place to grow. You know what I mean? And those are
Exactly, and
the
I
those
hope to be like that.
yeah, those are the things people don't really realize until they get older or whatever, and they look back, and they're all like, "Wow, like I wouldn't really be doing that if so and so didn't let me just do that for a second, just for the fuck of it." You know what I mean? Or when
Yeah,
when your label grows up, and the people in it they get the benefits and you get the benefits, and you're all looking back like, "Yo, we just started this, in Austin." And Austin doesn't really even have a really music brand like that. If I could say, Houston does, Dallas
yeah,
does,
it
but
it's
Austin,
really weird in Austin.
yeah, it's still kind of growing. I don't know what direction it's gonna take. Austin's kind of weird though, if you ask me. I don't know. There's a lot. I'm not gonna say names. There's a lot of weird artists to me though. I'm not even gonna lie to you. There's a
No, I
lot of
feel
them.
that, I
Yeah.
feel that, yeah, and this is something that we actually spoke about in, my class with Sasha this last semester too, is that Austin is just, like it's kind of a weird place, and something that Sasha always told us throughout the class was that he will not feel like his job is done until Spotify decides to open up a headquarters in Austin, because that's, Sasha Stone, like, lives in Austin with his family, and, like, this is where he runs Scoremore and everything. So he's very much based out here, and it at first, I didn't even know that, I thought
Yeah.
at first, I thought he was living out
Oh man.
in LA or something like
Everybody's in
that, like
Austin,
most of these
man.
people are, you know?
Everybody's in Austin somewhere.
Yeah, everybody is in Austin.
They got a house here at least.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. Usually, they got next to where is it? Lake something. They got
Westlake?
Nah, it's let me look it up on Google Maps real quick. Give me like 5 seconds. Literally, I can
Go
look it up right
ahead.
now. Okay. Because I used to DoorDash and shit over here. No, I used to favor. Like, here's a tip: if you're in Austin and you do favor, go to the Lake Travis area. That's what I'm talking about. Lake Travis area. You're gonna be pulling up to
Ah.
fucking mansions with like fucking lions in front of the doors and shit. And you're
There
like, who
are
the fuck
really
lives
nice
there?
houses out in
Yeah, you're like, who the
Travis.
fuck lives there? You just see a couple of people blowing like leaves out the driveway, no fucking cars in the driveway. It's like, oh, probably some actor or some shit, some director.
Yeah,
They got dozens of those, hundreds of those houses out there. I'm just like, everyone lives in these areas. Hollywood's full. Where else are you gonna go? Hollywood's been a thing since
exactly.
like at the 80s, the 70s.
Mhm.
There's no
And
real
now they're
estate
all
out
coming
there.
to Austin because it's the new California,
Yeah,
and
and
I
all
don't
the
know if
rent
I like it or not.
all the rates are going up. All the capitalists are fucking like crying money right now. They're happy as shit.
Bruh.
But
That's what I'm saying.
it's a move. It's all a move. And then you're gonna have people and they're gonna make a quote unquote authentic Austin sound, probably try to come up and be a local artist. But they're from Cali, They people don't usually claim where they're really from. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's like there's no shame in doing it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely there is no shame at all, but it's
Be
also a
from where
really
you're
important thing
from.
because it's where you came from?
Yeah, and people want to claim where they like get clout, but they don't want to can't claim where they really get from. That's where they get problems when they become famous and they got to defend that like, oh no, I'm from Atlanta. I'm not from London. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh my god.
And it's just like you should have just said you were from London. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that,
That's
bruh.
cool
Like
as fuck.
ain't nothing gonna say I'm from London and I moved to Atlanta. Okay, my boy, like that's great. You know what I'm saying? No one's gonna be all like, man, you ain't from Austin, dude. I don't like you rap. Like I don't like your rap and you're not from Austin. It's like, no, I think that's
Yeah.
not the problem. The problem is like you're not from Austin, but you're saying you're from Austin and the noise is differentiating. And I think that
Yeah, and you're
aggravates
not
people.
taking pride in
You're not
where
taking
you're coming
pride.
from.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's just what I think about that. It's not the biggest deal to me, but it is something that needs to be said. Like, just say where you're from, bro. Like,
For sure. Shout out 21 Savage. He's doing his best out here.
I love 21 Savage.
I love him too. He's great.
You know, I listen to his music all the time. It's just like he's just a prime example in that everyone makes mistakes, man. At any age, you can be an example at any age. It
Yeah.
happens, my boy. Like people can be wise and all that. It goes back to the jack of all trades things. You can still be dumb as hell in the area that you're neglecting. Like
Yeah.
it just comes at you when you least expect it. Like, oh, remember you're from London. Let me expose that real quick. Oh fuck, but 21 was popping off at that time. He was dropping
Yeah, he
game and
was
all that
already
shit.
set. Yeah.
Yeah, he was good at what he was doing, but he wasn't covering all of his corners. It happens to everybody. It's impossible to cover all your corners almost if you really
Exactly. And
got
it's
shit going
also
on.
yeah, it's like a niche thing too. Like obviously not too many I don't know about London, but I know they probably have their own hip hop scene going on
Oh
there.
man, yeah, they do.
And
It's
yeah,
rough out
exactly.
there.
So coming from Atlanta, that'd probably make it easier for 21 to pop off really hard by claiming Atlanta.
The
Which
thing is,
again, like yeah.
I feel like 21 could have a good London gangster persona if that's what he's going for, because they stab people, and I'd be more scared of
Yeah.
a dude who would stab me than a dude who would shoot me. I'm sorry, like it
Yeah.
doesn't take much to shoot anybody, but to run at me with a knife, are you kidding me? You can have it. You
Yeah,
good?
they be throwing fucking acid on people in London. That's why, like, as a
Yeah,
woman, like, I'm scared of that out there, but, like, in
it's just
Austin, I feel very comfortable.
you're never safe. The most dangerous thing you can do is take away a gun, because now they're gonna use something
Mhm.
else. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, okay, I ain't got a gun. I have a hammer. I got a nail gun. Bro, it's like anything else I can do to you is medieval.
There
It's
you go. Yeah.
inhumane.
That's a good way to put it.
You're gonna be on liveleak.com. Like, terrible. It's like, give them the guns, man. London people, they pull people out of cars and stab them, and it's
They're
just
wilding out in London, dude.
wildin', wildin'. You take one thing, they'll do another. That's an example of that, man.
Mhm.
I don't know, but they got their own music scene. The music scenes are all over the place. Talent's everywhere. I feel like it just doesn't get as broadcasted, and I think that goes to people, their communities, like the music communities, and how people respond to their local artists. Because even local music in Austin, I feel like it caters more towards people going out to have a good time, and it goes outside of the artist itself, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's what I see in Austin. Like, the artist is used for local entertainment rather than I'm getting this artist to put my city on the map. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point because
Yeah,
especially in Austin too, like, it's the live music capital of the world, and
yeah.
that's true. Like, there's literally a show every night that you
They
can
want to
go
keep the
to.
artists here. That's what I keep telling people. Get out of
Exactly.
Austin. If you
Yeah.
want to get big, don't try to get big in Austin. Like, rap Austin where you go, but if you're in Austin, you're just just gonna be rapping outside of cantina bars while people are eating and drinking. It's like nothing wrong with that. People are
Exactly.
gonna know
Yeah.
you. That's how you get your local fan base up. But after everyone knows you, you're just you're in the same place, because all they're gonna use you for is to rap at these events and yada yada. But you're not gonna be on the stage like getting more fans from other areas. Like you got to
Exactly.
go to
Yeah.
Dallas, you got to go to Houston, you got to go to Louisiana, you got to invest. Like, if you're not investing, you're
Yeah.
not gaining. You know what I mean? The
I
biggest
feel
moves
like yeah,
cost. You know?
like, a lot of artists in Austin, I feel like, are very stagnant, I guess, and this is
Yeah.
actually something that we had talked about in Sasha's class too, because we had this one guest speaker named Katarina, and she was from Austin.
Yeah.
She had grown up here and gone to UT, if I'm correct, and she said something that resonated really hard with me, and it was something along the lines of, "I want an artist that's gonna sell out Madison Square Garden and, like, big stages like that." And if
Mhm.
you wanna do that and you're coming out of Austin, you're gonna have to leave Austin eventually."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, that's a fact. Like, that's fucking true.
'Cause you're
Because I don't
pampered
want
here.
costs."
It's too easy to
Exactly.
get shows. The artists that
Exactly.
make it were hungry. Like, all these Chirac artists and all that, they were
Mhm.
hungry. They were trying to get out of the hood, so their communities were pushing them as hard as they could so they could like give back once they made it. That was the whole
Exactly.
point. You don't need the thing that the reason that Austin doesn't do that is because they don't need to. This isn't a hood. Why do you have to leave? We need you here. You're a
Yeah.
good rapper. Come rap outside of fucking Texas Roadhouse. Like, are you kidding me? We're fucking good over here. If you were rapping and you were like in some kind of fucking what shack somewhere, and your family was like eating rat meat every night or some shit, and you were the only person that had a talent in that family, bro, are you kidding me? You know how much family support you would have? You're the ticket. No
Exactly.
one's a
Yeah.
ticket out here. They're just doing it because they want to. They need to make themselves a ticket, like if you're rapping for a hobby, do keep doing what you're doing. This is fine. Like you have good rappers out here, but bro, if you're trying to like actually make numbers and all that and make this a career, which most rappers I encounter are talking and wanting to do, you're talking to me in the wrong area because you're talking to me where people are vending on the side. It's like shout out to the vendors. I love all the vendors, but bro, it's
Me
like
too. Yeah.
it's the wrong place. This isn't where you're gonna blow up. This is great that you're getting your local fans here and you're getting really good love and support, but after 5 or 6 you need to pop off and use the fan support that you have here to propel you to other places. Some people will come to those shows with you, you know what I mean? Like some people will fly out to see you from the city, you know.
Exactly.
You gotta use that love to your advantage because the fans love you, but it's on you to move around. The fans aren't gonna make you move, not if they
Yeah.
don't need to. Their
Exactly.
favorite
And, like
artist is in the city already. Why would they want you to leave?
For sure. And that's what it comes back to, like artists being stagnant. Like they're content with playing these small shows and like that's not me, man. Like I'm of course I'm gonna have to start out small because we just started the label. But like Katarina, I want to sell out stages like MSG. I want to take my label on tours across the country and
Buy a
across
van, man.
internationally.
Buy a van. Invest in a van. I'm telling you. That's
That's what
like
we're thinking, yeah.
probably the best thing you can do because that allows you to be mobile and you can like stock up. Think of it like survival, bro. Because that's what it is at the end of the day. You need something that you can survive in and move around. You know what I mean? Somewhere you can fucking shit, eat, sleep. It's like, bro. Well, you're probably not gonna shit in there. You probably gotta like pull over or something. But
Definitely gonna pull over.
but you know what I'm saying? Oh man, no, yeah, bro. I didn't know about camping one time. Off topic, I didn't know about camping when I was younger, and I went with my white friend Jason, bro. And like Jason, bro, his family they knew this campground. They didn't give me no rules. They thought I just knew, but they had a toilet in their trailer, but it was like the don't use toilet. You know what I mean? Like it was just in there. And I remember like I woke up one night and I just took like a massive shit.
No. In the fucking don't use?
Yeah, I was like, why? He's like, bro, I gotta take a shit. And he was all like, bro, go shit. And I was all like, in here, okay. And like, I fucking went, and it was like a bunk bed. I laid back down and shit, and bro, like the whole thing just smelled terrible. And I think like
Oh, no.
my,
I'd be so embarrassed.
I didn't know what was going on, man. I was like, what the fuck wrong with your toilet, dog? I
Oh,
was like,
god.
I think the family was all like, they liked me so much. I was like a sweet kid. I didn't know much about shit growing up. Gee, I was grounded all the time. I ain't gonna lie. Like I was learning
That's
shit
fair.
as I was going out. Like that was the first time I was in like a trailer going out camping. Like all I knew about camping was like Camp Laszlo, and they never took shits in Camp Laszlo, so I didn't know. They didn't teach me shit, bro. So yeah, they
Fair.
they didn't get on my ass or nothing. They just quietly claimed it,
It'd
and I
be
was
like
like.
that,
I was like, bro, I'm not shitting in your van no more. You're just tripping. But anyways, yeah, buy a van and just go. I feel like people that buy vans and they really set their lifestyles around what they want to do, they make it the furthest.
Exactly, and, like, it's definitely a I mean, for us at the label, and definitely for me, it's like it's kind of like a do or die kinda thing, because personally, I don't really have a plan B. Like, this is my plan A through Z, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna
Mm,
make this shit work no matter what. So
that's
it's definitely something that I do think about often in terms of, like, if I want to make this work, I'm going to have to make this my entire life. And bringing it back to the van conversation, it's something that even J. Cole said in his song, like, you make money off touring, you
Yeah.
make money off shows. And I remember that first show we had and our payout from it, and I was like, bro,
Yep.
holy shit.
That
Like,
is where the money is. It's not on SoundCloud. It's not none of that. I tried it, man. I was on Reverb Nation at number 9 in Austin. It wasn't making like anything almost. Like I was like
exactly.
making nothing because I didn't want to like, music wasn't really my passion though. It wasn't like a sad ending or nothing. It was just something I tried out. I just got out of jail. I was like trying to have fun. And like I realized, the people that do shows and they tour, people that go around, they wear all the jewelry and stuff. Those that tour money, it don't play, man. You're lining up shows that are all gonna pay you like down the line, and they're outside of your city. That's where you actually get your fan base, really. Even if it's a tour of like open mics, it's still something.
Yeah, no, for sure. And gosh, it's just
Exciting,
I can't
honestly.
wait to get out the city. You know what I mean?
Where would you go? What would your tour list look like? Like, where would you
Ah,
start
God.
there?
I think we definitely have to do kind of like a West Coast slash uh South run. You know what I mean?
Ooh, oh, like you talking about U.S. West Coast, South Coast. So you're gonna go all around?
Yeah, because that's where the market is for the
Okay,
kind of music that my
America,
artist has. I mean,
America, nigga. Yeah, I think so too.
something like that,
That's good
but
excuse. Yeah, that's where the market is. It's like, yeah, America. Where are you gonna go?
yeah.
Zimbabwe? You
But
forgot
at the
Africa?
same time, like that's
No, I
where the
got you.
money is too,
No,
is
no, yeah, yeah.
down in the South and on the West Coast and even the East Coast too.
It's fun planning that shit too, honestly. Like even if it's budgeting, I don't know. That's where I feel like the business is fun because you got to think like, oh yeah, we got to get gas, we got to go here, we're gonna make this much here. We think we gotta go here. It's probably gonna be stressful, but that's how you gain your skills too. Because once you come back from that tour, you're gonna have that knowledge.
Exactly, and, like, that's something I've been working on too already is, like, having our financials in order and
Oh
having our
yeah.
budget lists. Because something that I handle pretty heavily at Death to the Wolf is our financials.
Mm,
Because we have this little thing that we call a label pot, and pretty much any money that we make from shows or merch sales, um, all goes into that pot, you know? And
smart.
also we have, each of the artists, instead of paying me and Solomon a management fee for the time being, they
Mm,
pay $10 a week to the pot, and we just so that's $40 a week from everyone,
yeah.
and so that builds up, and, like, that helps us pay for things that we need for everyone pretty much, like, so and so needs studio time, we can put some money towards that so he isn't paying it entirely out of pocket, or if we need more merch, then we can use that money for it, and then that just goes back into the pot, you know?
Yeah, that's a smart financial plan. That'll probably take off in the future, but you're probably not gonna be using a pod. But that tour
Yeah,
plan that you had already, one tour, you could probably, up the management on that. I feel like,
exactly,
'cause,
yeah.
Moscato, he has the performance. He could pick up fans, and I seen Chris. I seen him perform a couple of times too. They got the energy. They got the potential to
Oh, yeah,
King
Corvus?
Corvus. I said I call him Chris. I apologize. Corvus.
You're good.
I only met him one time, and I feel like that was at a what's it called, a Creation Station event.
Yeah, I think that
Hmm.
was, back then. Man, it's just all the events that we've done are, like, mumbled in my head now.
Yeah, and so man, I know. Yeah, I see Moscato all the time. I only seen Corvus that one time. I think I seen him like in the corner of my eye at other events, but there's so many things going on at those events.
Exactly, yeah. But,
But no, you could really take those talents because they're genuine talents and use them because they're not knockoff talents. Because I could give the same advice to somebody else that has like subpar artists, and there's a lot of subpar artists, and
yeah.
and that advice wouldn't work. But that also goes into because I have sales experience. You should like have people look at YouTube videos and have like a little education set up so when you learn something, they learn it too. Because I learned like if you tell people at specific points in your performance to follow you, they're more efficient than always telling them like control tells. That's just one of the few things I've learned. That comes with just taking knowledge from other careers or occupations and implementing it and the one that you want to do. And that's where the wacky ideas come from too, that make you seem like a madman, but it's working the best for you because people don't understand what you're doing because you come from another area of expertise. You know what I mean?
Exactly, and again, like, that's something that we stress at Death to the Wolf is we're always trying to learn and grow, so every
Yeah.
time, like, we have a label meeting or we have a meeting after a show we just did, we always give homework, me and Solomon, to our
Oh
boys.
yeah.
And
Perfect.
then they figure it out, and then the next meeting, we discuss it, and then we go from there.
Yeah, you totally got the blueprint ready. Where do you feel like it's gonna where do you feel like it's gonna go for you? Like you feel like you're gonna go more in the how could I say it? Instagram heavy, or is it gonna be music? Like is your company gonna focus on being media present, or is it really just up to the artist at that point? Like the artists have no.
So we're definitely looking to be more present in media. That's something that I really stress with my boys as well with their social medias and stuff. Because we live in that digital age, you know what I mean? And so
Yes.
if you're not present in the digital space, then who the fuck are you?
Yeah, the reason I
Unfortunately.
ask, you meet a lot of people and they really refuse to really be on media. They take a Kendrick Lamar approach and they kind of disappear, or more like a Childish Gambino type, and just like X themselves from media and yada yada, you know. And I feel like that goes into where I feel like you shouldn't really take examples from accomplished artists, as weird as that sounds. But you should really take like your inspirations from, you're going to live shows and shit. You learn how to perform from seeing performances. You need to take that, if you're a performer, and use those firsthand experiences of good performances and put that into your shows. I feel like you can get some good musical inspirations and like flows and West Coast influences and yada yada from music and all that. But like to really get that fan acquisition really in that sticks with you, not that one hit wonder shit, like that city love, that fan base, and to
Mhm.
get that performance energy, like to learn how to perform, you really need to go out there and learn it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like definitely with performing, like that's one of the things that you can't really learn unless you do it.
Because these
Um,
tapes, these people
yeah.
learn. They've been training for years. These artists, it's overly complicated. Like all this shit is crazy. You know what I mean? Like they have all this camera angles and these illusions on stage and all that. But if you go out and you like see a live show or like go to a free show at damn Scratch House ain't even up no more. But you remember
Yeah.
Scratch House?
Yeah, I do actually.
That shit was teaching me like, oh, this is how an artist performs. Like I went there and I remember
Mhm.
getting like my mind blown. Like, why isn't this guy big? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I can't like mainstream influences, like media influences and Instagram. It feel like and that's where I was asking, like, do you feel like your artists are gonna be big on like media and stuff? Because I feel like having your presence out there and interacting with fans that are usually on media because everyone's on their phone and getting that attention like that, it's good. But I feel like it doesn't stick if you don't have any foundation anywhere. So that's where I was all like, media is good, but if you don't have a foundation in music, I don't feel like you can stick very well, you know?
Exactly, and that's
'Cause-
why we always
Mhm.
want them, like again, like, to focus on making sure that they put their music out there on their social medias and
Yeah.
as well as having that an equal or even better in-person performance, you know? And that's
Oh
something
yeah.
that I'm very proud of my boys is that they're all solid stage performers, especially Moscato J and Hunter Reed, and
They got love in the city. So it's a
exactly,
it's a it's
exactly.
a founded fan base. Because I was thinking about it while I was saying it too. Because I was like thinking maybe there's exceptions. Because I was thinking like maybe people can't just like be in their house and just come up from social media. But a lot of people don't come to mind that haven't fell off. Like even like people like SoundCloud rappers, Little Pump and Smoke Perp and all that. They're not
Yeah.
sticking very well. And they didn't have that much love in their city as like local entertainment either. All that was internet, and it really shows in the long run because I feel like you can really get that pop and get rich and famous if you just like stay disconnected from your city and solo it and just release songs online, and yeah,
Yeah.
maybe you'll get some traction like that. But if the people can't see you, no one knows and loves you. It's gonna be hard to keep that traction, you know?
Exactly. And people love doing shit, you know? They love getting outside the fucking house and, like,
Yeah,
going and do stuff. Um,
exactly.
so there's such a big emphasis on making sure that any events that we throw, we make it really fun for the people.
Oh yeah, and that just sticks. That just goes into the artist and the food, man.
Exactly. There you go.
So I feel like it's easy, but you have to be good at it to be easy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the concept of making a good show, except for if it's a big show. We're talking local. Like you could throw a good show. I couldn't tell you nothing about throwing a big show. I know nothing about it. But you know,
Oh god, yeah. It was rough throwing that, our first Flamingo show because I had gotten word that we got that show literally a week before the day of the show.
oh yeah,
So I had a week to plan that shit.
golly. But you still had people
Yeah.
show out though, so I guess it was a success at the end, huh?
Oh my god, it was probably one of the best nights of my life. I literally had friends from or classmates from my online class because my classes just started at the time.
Mm,
I had l they literally, like, 2 or 3 of them showed up, and I was like, "How did you know about this?" And they're like, "Oh, we saw it, like, on your Instagram." Because what I had done is I made that post on my Instagram with the flyer, and then I promoted it,
mm.
and I used the Instagram promotions, and that reached over 1,500 people in
Yeah,
Austin.
boom. That's where,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you meet them. That's where the mix happens, you know? I feel like
Mhm.
that's the combo that people forget. You use the ads, you get the attention, but then you got to interact with them. You can't just let them sit
Exactly.
there. That's
Yeah.
where you fuck up. You can have thousands of people liking your pictures, but like if you don't interact with like at least half of those thousands of people, you know,
Mhm.
they're gonna stop fucking with you. You're just a bot to them. You could be as much as like just a computer, inauthentic. You know, like when you put out those flyers and you like, hey dude, come show up, da 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 da, and then they show up and you like thank them for coming out. That's how you keep a fan. You know, like
Exactly, and that's something too that translates really well on social media. Because something that I like to stress to my boys is if you like, for example, on Instagram stories, you can post, like, interactive stuff, so, like, you can ask
instant.
questions, you can do
Yeah.
polls, and I always tell my boys, like, those are really good ways to, like, interact with fans and just people in general, because once they have that interaction with you, like, then more people are gonna start coming to you and, like, looking at what you're
Hmm.
doing, and then more people are gonna show up to shows, you know what I mean?
Exactly. That's just bread and butter. Y'all already got the blueprint, man.
I hope we do, because we're gonna need it real soon.
Oh yeah, you have a show tomorrow, don't you?
So we actually have a Moscato is participating in the smokeout tournament tonight, headed by the pre-roll with Jay Soldier and them over at Flamingos, because they're doing this tournament to pick one more artist for South by.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
but the cool thing is, one of our artists that we might be signing sometime soon under me and Solomon's management got picked. So we kind of have South by in the bag, which is great.
It's awesome. When is South by again?
South by takes place spring break in March. So like I think it's like the second week of March and it goes for a
Oh
week or two.
man. I don't know
Yeah,
why I
so it's
keep
gonna be a
missing it.
crazy week.
I'm always the dude people relay the stories to, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty much been there. Pretty
There
much
you
know what's
go.
going on.
But
I
man, like being at South by, like that's a whole different vibe, you know, because you're filled, like you're surrounded by all these people that are trying to make something, whether it be music, art, film, business startups. Like there's
mm,
just so many things going on. And it's such a good creative space to be in as well.
oh
And
yeah,
anyone you talk to, like they're always trying to do something, which I really appreciate. So
I'm probably not gonna miss it this year, but I've notoriously been missing it as long as I've been in Austin for like numerous reasons. But this time I feel like it would be dumb if I did, you know?
yeah, because this is the South by that's the first South by after the one they canceled last year. Because they have never canceled South by before, but
Yes.
because of COVID, they had to. So I expect this year to be fucking nuts.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be popping off. Probably,
Yeah,
hopefully, it won't be too crowded. Or I'm probably gonna want to leave.
I feel that it is gonna be mad crowded.
But
It's always so crowded.
feel like I'm an after party guy, maybe.
They do have the after parties. That is a good point.
Because after party, you know, that's their own market. Some people they perform strictly at the after parties. You know,
Exactly. Yeah, because
got
that's
it.
like the more low key, like
chill
If
vibe.
you're here,
Yeah,
you really wanna fucking go somewhere, you know?
yeah. I forgot. What was this year? Last year, I mean, Austin City Limits was going on, right?
Oh, yeah,
Or
yeah, the, music festival.
yeah, I remember a lot of people were just like going to the quote unquote after parties during the event itself. I'm
Yeah.
like, are you guys serious? I was going down like on 6th Street and it was just like packed. And I was like, isn't City Limits going on right now?
Yeah,
People are fucking drunk and shit and dancing. Yeah, it's Austin's festive already though. People are gonna be everywhere already.
exactly, and you have people flying in from different places just for events like that. Because ACL is one of the biggest music events in the country.
Oh yeah, and it's only gonna get bigger because, like we said before, people are just flooding into Austin as the days go on.
Exactly.
It's gonna become Hollywood. It's just gonna have like a big sign on the side of a mountain that says Austin.
Yeah, me and Corvus joke about this all the time, like, we're waiting for just, like, the neon lights on buildings to be installed, and
Yeah.
then it's really gonna get serious, like
Casinos been legalized, big ass casino downtown
Yeah,
and shit.
there you go.
Yeah. Then my rent goes up, then I gotta move to Alaska or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, waiting for
Fucking
that too.
nah. But all right, you got any closing notes? You want to tell the people what's going on with you? Any future events popping up?
Well, I have a couple of things that my artists are doing within this month. We probably have 2 mixtapes coming out as well as an album, so that's something to
Oh,
definitely look out for, and just keep an eye on us. Look us up on IG at Death to the Wolf, and you can find all our stuff there, all our artist pages, everything that you need. So, yeah,
and K,
definitely be on the lookout.
and K, you want? I should have did this in the beginning, but you want to introduce yourself, man? You want to tell them who
Yeah,
you are?
I got you. Okay, so my name is Kai Evangelista. I am an artist manager and CEO of Death to the Wolf, which is a record label here in Austin that focuses on independent hip hop, R&B, and rap artists.
Perfect. I loved it. Did you have a good
That
time?
was fun. No, that was awesome. I really liked it.
Perfect. Thanks for coming on, and everyone, thanks for listening. Tune in next time for Dragon Moonface podcast. See you guys.
See ya.